How you guys doing? Pastor Josh, thank you, man. If we keep going, it'll be more spiritual than I am. Because everybody, you know when the keys are playing, it makes it real spiritual real fast. But see, I got to give you all credit because one of the things I love about coming to theSource is you got it together. Y'all just got it together. I get a privilege. I get to travel to other youth groups and stuff and see them work. And y'all are just prettier than they are, if I'm honest. Like, you can give yourselves a round of applause. You work hard on it, right? Yeah, thank you so much. Right? You guys have it together. And like, even when y'all took a knee right there, everybody was down on their knees in the super spiritual moment. You know, the fact that you guys locked into that and that God was like able to move just shows how much you got it together, because I'm over there. I'm the guy who coughed. You know, I'm the guy in the middle. I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. It's dead silent. Don't cough. Don't. Dang it. Right? That's me. See, I don't have it. I don't have it all together. Now, are there any I don't have it all together people in the room? Like you're hidden in the room, like you look around and see all the pretty other Chapel Springs people, but you're like, I'm a ain't got it person. Any ain't got it? If you're with me, say ain't got it. I ain't got it. I ain't got it today, ain't got it yesterday, ain't got it tomorrow, right? Now, here's the thing about, I was thinking about this so much that I kind of wrote down a little list of moments where I get awkward and I just have to admit that I have no idea what I'm doing, okay? Because I feel like a lot of us at this moment in time, at this moment in history, at this moment in the year, we're at that point where like, honestly, I really have no idea what I'm doing. This happened to me this morning. I was going to check the mail with my son, and there was this little, how old are you when you go into kindergarten? 5? 6? Okay, 5. So this 5-year-old, and he was so excited that the bus was coming, he had his Paw Patrol hat, backpack, sneakers, shirt, socks, the whole thing, right? And his name is Chris, and I said, hey, Chris, how you doing? He goes, today's my first day going to school. You know how 5-year-olds talk? And then he starts telling me the story of how he bought his backpack. Now, have any of you heard a 5-year-old tell a story? It is the worst experience of your entire life. You're like, where is the fast forward button? Get to the point. And at the end, he went to Walmart and bought the backpack. That was the whole story. But like in that moment, I have no idea what to do. You know, I want out of the conversation, but how do you break a 5-year-old's heart? You don't know how to do it, right? And I think there's other moments like this, like right now when you're in a restaurant or somewhere and you're the one who coughs. Like, or you hear someone cough, that's the worst. Like back in the day when someone coughed, what would you say? Bless you, right? Or like, oh, I hope you're good. You know, hey, oh. Now if someone coughs, you're like, back it up, right? It's a little thing. You have no idea what to do. Another one I was thinking of is when other people sing happy birthday to me. I have no idea what to do in that minute and a half. Has anyone figured that out? My son's birthday was 3 months ago. Even he's 2 years old, and even singing happy birthday to him, his 2-year-old self had no idea what to do, right? You're like, happy birthday, and he's kind of scared. He's like, what is happening, right? We don't know what to do when that happens. Right now, the first time that you shake hands with somebody, I saw it all night tonight. You have no idea what to do. You're like, hug, shake, fist bump, elbow, are we hipping? I have no idea what to do, right? And I if I had it all together, I would have better answers. Dancing at weddings, I don't know what to do at weddings. I'm either the 40-year-old suburban dad or I'm twerking. There's no in between. There is no in between. My wife is ashamed of me either way. Flossing my teeth, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just go until I see blood. Just go. Just get after it. If it's red, it's clean. If it's red, it's clean. But the one that happens to me, not the most often, but it hurts my heart the most, is when Spanish people assume that I speak Spanish. And I have no idea what to do. Any Fakericans in the house like me? Any fake Hispanics? Like you've got the Hispanic title, but you don't speak Spanish. You're confused by Spanish. I'm in it for the food. Come on, my fake Hispanic people. I see you. I feel you. Now this happened to me because here's what happens is I just you can go ahead and put the first slide up. I just want to talk to you tonight about these kind of moments, about this idea of I have no idea what I'm doing. And this moment happened to me. I was at a McDonald's. My wife is pregnant. She's due in December, and we're going to have our second child, which I'm very excited about. Thank you very much. I'll send that applause to Shauna. She's doing all the work. She's making the baby, and this is the thing. McDonald's dollar chocolate sundaes are a lifesaver right now in our house, because what happens is we eat dinner and then we're trying to be healthy, so then we're like, all right, no dessert, and then 8:30 comes around and you're like, okay, dessert. Anybody else? You're like, I'll be good, and then 8:30 comes around, all your discipline goes out the window. And so I'm off to the races, I'm off to McDonald's drive-thru, and I hear the lady, as soon as she says, hello, I know, oh no, she's Spanish. She's Latin. Something's happening. I said, can I get two chocolate sundaes, please? No nuts. She says, sí. I go, oh God, here we go. I drive through the drive-thru. I get there. My hair was a little longer, so I get these curls in the front, right? And here I am ethnically ambiguous. Once I get the curls, then people hone in, okay, you got some flavor. All right, and so the curls show flavor, right? The flavor's coming out. I see some of my flavored people in the room. Come on, somebody, right? Now, so I have a little seasoning in my blood at this point, and I come up to the drive-thru, I come up to the window, and she goes, and her eyes light up. She goes, hola, ¿tú hablas español? Translation, any high school Spanish people? Now here's what happens. If I were cool, I would know what to do. But I ain't cool. I ain't got it. So here's what happens when you're in a moment where you do not know what to do. You do one of three things. And the first thing is you usually fake it. Fake it till you make it, right? And so the first thing that we did is I faked it hard. And I said, poquito. And she says, start speaking Spanish, Spanglish, some kind of something that I didn't know what was happening, and she catches me in my lie, right? She catches me, and I said, un poquito. Just a little bit. Right? My grandmother told me how to say dame beso. That means give me a kiss. That's about as much as I got, right? It worked really well when I was trying to get my wife, and that's it. Then I look at her, I said, I'm so sorry. I don't know what you're saying. And usually they'll let you off the hook at that point, right? Usually they're like, you know what? It's okay. Go on with your life. But she was not having it. She let me have it. She goes, why you no speak Spanish? Why you're losing your heritage? Your mother should be ashamed of you. And at this moment, I didn't know what I was doing before. Now I'm really backing up. I'm like, what do you want from me? I just want my chocolate sundaes. And she's holding these two chocolate sundaes hostage, like 6 inches away from where I can grab them, right? And so here's what happens. Once faking it doesn't work, then you move to the second part of what you do when you don't know what to do, and that's you force your way out of this situation, right? You just try and figure a way out. And so what I did was I said, 6 inches, 2 sundaes, boom, grabbed the sundaes, gracias, hit the gas and left, right? Because when you don't know what to do, you try and force yourself out. If you don't believe me, have you ever been at your friend's house when their parents start fighting? Whew. I mean, you're sitting on the couch, you're playing 2K, and then they say, well, Charles, if you would have done the dishes, and you just, oh God. You just want to crawl to the door and get out of there, right? Have you ever slept over at somebody's house and they forgot to give you a blanket? Come on. You're like, take me to the homeless shelter, Jesus. Take me, at least they got blankets. At least they got blankets, right? You try and force your way out of a situation. Here's the thing, is we do the same thing when we're in times of trouble where we don't know what to do. Right? Right now, you probably don't know what to do at school. You probably don't know what to do, some of you with your family. I don't know what to do with my job sometimes because everything is changing. And so what happens is when people ask me, hey, Arin, how are you doing? How's work? Or hey, Arin, how are you doing? How's your family? My first response is to fake it. I go, everything's good, man. Everything's real good. Changing the world. Changing the world one day at a time, you know? And then when they ask me a second question and I don't know how to answer, then I try and force my way out of the situation. Are you sure? It seems like things would be really hard for you. Well, you know what? That's really good. I'm going to go over here real quick. I got to pee. And you try and force your way out. I've talked to students who they don't want to go back to school because they don't know what school's going to look like. So instead of going into the unknown, they try and force their way out of the uncomfortable situation. Some of you have got family situations that have been difficult for so long, and instead of faking like you're happy, you've moved beyond faking like you're happy. Now you know that you're not happy, and so you would rather live on your friend's couch than go back home. You're trying to force yourself out of the uncomfortable situation. But can I just let you know something? Is that everybody is just trying to figure it out. You might look at people around you and say, man, they have it all together, but can I tell you, they don't have it all together. They're still trying to figure it out. And if you don't believe that we're trying to figure it out, the number one selling genre of books right now is not fantasy, it's not fiction, it's not whatever, it's self-help books. Everybody's trying to figure it out. Right? Because here's the third stage of what we do when we don't know what to do. First, we fake it. Then we try and force our way out. And then what happens is we try and figure out why. Man, why is this happening? How can I fix it? Well, maybe if I was better at this, then this wouldn't happen. Or maybe if I was better at that, then it wouldn't happen in my job. Maybe if I was a better speaker, then we could do more. Or youth pastors and youth leaders and church people, well, maybe if our church does church outside, then we'll figure it out. And teachers are going, well, maybe if I had better illustrations, the kids would focus more. Or you're like, well, maybe if I was more exciting and more fun, maybe then I'd get the girlfriend or the boyfriend or maybe, and we try and figure it out. Anybody else, you catch yourself trying to figure it out? But here's what happens when we try and figure it out. Figuring it out causes fear. Where's my man David? Where's David at? Come on. I'm doing this because I know you're a wrestler. Okay? See, I was a wrestler back in the day. So I was twice as good looking as David was. Come on up. And here's the thing. Before every wrestling match, something happens called a weigh-in. Okay? Now, a weigh-in is where you are at your most vulnerable because you have just starved yourself for days, not drank anything but the water off leaves from your garden. Right? That's all you've consumed. You're trying to cut weight, and then you go into a room with all these other half-naked dudes, and there's a scale at the front, and you have to weigh yourself in front of the guy that you're about to wrestle to make sure that you're in the right weight class. Now, here's what happens. When we're scared and when we don't know what to do, when we're trying to figure it out, that's where fear lives, because fear lives in the what if. Because what happens is I'd be standing next to him. All right, now get in the weigh-in stance. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. You're standing like this, and you're trying to look really confident, okay? But in your head, you're looking at the guy next to you, and you're going, all right, his biceps are a little bigger than mine. Okay. So what if he's stronger than me? All right, what if he's smarter? What if his coach is better than me? And then the next guy, and you walk forward, and you're thinking, okay, what if I don't make weight? What if I didn't cut? What if I didn't cut enough? And then you get on the scale, and they give you your weight, and you get it. And then what do you do right after you weigh in?
You eat.
You eat, my man, right? Okay, then you go eat, right? And then you start thinking, well, what if I'm eating too much? Or what if I lose this match? What if I lose this match and it messes my whole team up? Well, what if I lose this match in front of my mom? Well, what if I lose this match in front of the girl that I really like? Well, what if I lose this match and everybody in the school knows what happened? What if I don't just lose this match? What if I get pinned super fast? What if? And this all happens into the moment that you get on the mat and he gets there and he says, get in position. You've got your headgear on. You're getting ready to go. And the whole time, what if he shoots? What if he stands? What if I don't sprawl? What if? And then the whistle blows. And what if turns into what is. And the fear goes away. If you've ever played a sport, you know that you're scared and nervous, but the moment the ball hits your hands, the moment the whistle blows, the moment starts, fear has to go, because what if is where fear lives, but fear cannot live in what is. Because in that moment, my whole being has to shift focus and deal with whatever it is that's in front of me. Go ahead, give them a round of applause, guys. And so some of us, I believe tonight, are stuck in this what if circle where I'm trying to figure out, what if I had a different family? What if I acted differently? What if I dressed differently? What if God doesn't answer my prayer? What if? And when we stay in what if, we stay in the fear. And what happens is that fear keeps us from moving into action. That fear keeps us from doing. Because there are a lot of times that I looked at the guy across from me before I wrestled, and right before the whistle blew, I wanted to quit. Right before the whistle blew, I said, let's tap somebody else in. Right before, I don't feel too good. And I wanted to force my way out of the moment. But what I want to encourage you tonight is to move beyond what if and to live in what is. Because you may be trying to figure out what's going on with school and friends and relationships and sports. But I want to give you a verse. It's in Philippians chapter 3, verse 12 and 14. And here's a guy, his name's Paul. And if there was anybody who was supposed to have it all together and know what they were doing, it was Paul. Because Paul, he came from money, he was well educated, he was planning churches, he was the guy who was, everyone in the church was looking to for guidance. Paul was the guy. And then Paul writes this verse that I think is so good. And I'm gonna read you the message version tonight, but it says this: I'm not saying that I have all of this together. Come on, somebody. Where my I ain't got it together people at again? Paul says, I'm not saying I have all this together or that I've made it, but I'm well on my way, reaching out for Christ, who has so wondrously reached out for me. Friends, don't get me wrong. By no means do I count myself an expert, but I've got my eye on Jesus, on the goal where God is beckoning us towards, to Jesus. I'm off and running, and I'm not turning back. Here's the thing. Paul says, I may not know all the answers. Paul says, I might not be the expert, and I don't have it all together, but the one thing I do know, somebody say one thing. Okay, come on, listen, I believe the Lord's about to speak, so come on, say one thing. Because the one thing that I do know is Jesus. Paul, who goes in prison, Paul, who gets stranded, Paul, who gets persecuted, Paul's life is not the nice, easy life that everybody wants to see and have. But when Paul gets in those situations, he goes, I don't pretend to know. I can't fake it and I can't make my way out. But the one thing I can do is focus on Jesus. The one thing I can do is focus on what I do know. And I think the enemy can get us so distracted on trying to figure out everything else Man, you can't tell anybody about Jesus until you know all the Bible verses. You can't worship until you know exactly how to raise your hands. You can't kneel until you know exactly why pastor wants you to kneel. You can't hear from God unless you've got a degree. You can't unless. And the enemy says, you got to figure it out first. But Paul says, I'm not going to say I know it all, but the one thing I do know is Jesus has reached out for me, and so I'm going to run towards him. And if we can hold on to that tonight, if we can grab onto that truth tonight, there's freedom in that. There's so much freedom in saying, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with my school year. I don't even know if I'm going to pass this class, but I'm reaching out for Jesus. I don't know how to break through that everybody is talking about. I don't know how to get through this issue that they say I can get through, but I'm going to focus on Jesus. The beautiful part about that last song that we said, it said, man, when you come into the room, all my problems move. Right? They don't go away, but they move. When you do what only you can do, man, there's so much power in realizing that I don't know the answer and I don't have to know the answer because there's things in my life that only God can do. And so I'm going to hold on to that I'm not the biggest thing in the room. I'm not the greatest thing. I don't have to be. God is the greatest thing. And if you don't think that this is a truth that we should listen to, Jesus does the same thing. Jesus does the same thing in Matthew. Jesus, the perfect man, fully God and fully man. I'm going to read it from Matthew chapter 26, verse 42. And it says that Jesus is in the garden. This is right before he's about to die. And Jesus went away for a second time, and it said, my Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away. What he means right there is he's talking about this cup of suffering. He's talking about dying on the cross. I got one quick side note for you. Jesus did not want to die for your sins. He was not skipping towards the cross. But out of love, he did it anyway. And that's so much more powerful to me than thinking that God was just like, all right, here we go. Right? Jesus is praying to God. He's like, God, I'm in a situation where I do not want to do what I think you want me to do. So can you take this thing away from me? But if you can't, but if I must, if I must drink it, may what your will be done. Man, Jesus and Paul both say, I may not know exactly what's going to happen, but I strive towards God. I strive towards Christ. I strive for the fact that his will is greater than my will. I've got to believe in something bigger than myself. Now, this all kind of came to my mind. God really laid this on my heart. Am I allowed to drop down here, or am I going to give everybody COVID? All right, here I come. Okay, this all came into my mind. It was about a month ago. I was on vacation, and my dad and I were at the beach. And so my dad and I were out at about our waist deep in the beach in North Carolina. And I mean, I'm a beach guy. I think my body was made for the sun, right? And so my dad and I are just standing out there basking in the sun. Now, if you don't know my dad, he doesn't look like me. My dad is 50 years old. He's bald and he's white. And so he can't stay in the sun as long as I can. So the fact that he was out there with me was nice because he's a lobster in the sun after about 5 minutes. So we're out there and we look over and there's these 5 kids who are probably 10, 11 years old, and they start swimming out, and you can tell this is like their first time at the beach. And they are so excited. They are pumped beyond belief. And they start diving, and you remember like when you're a kid and you dive into the water and you're fighting the ocean. You're like, this wave and me, we're going head to head. And you like punch through the waves and you like dive over it. And you're like, I'm gonna beat the ocean, right? And they're doing all this stuff. And then they kind of figure out they can body surf the waves, and they're having a blast. And there's 5 of them. But it's one of those days where the tide is pulling them from left to right? For quick. And so I see him, and I see the mom, and now that I've got a kid, like, I'm more aware of where the parents are at. And so I see the mom, and she's back over there, and her and I kind of catch eyes, and I give her the parent, like, I got you. like, I'll keep an eye on them, right? And so they come, and there's this one girl in particular, she's 10 years old, and she is so engrossed in the ocean, she has no idea where she is. And she comes diving under the water until she comes right in between my dad and I, in between our legs. Like, we just went like this. She comes in, and her friends have already gone further down the beach. So she's by herself and doesn't know it, and comes up out of the water, big breath. And right as she takes her big breath, she turns around, and here comes the next wave. Bang! And you know when you do that tumble in the ocean, where the ocean smacks you at just the right angle, and you do like 16 somersaults, you get all the sand in all the places, and then you come up like you're, like you just want a second of air. She comes up like that, she goes, right in front of me and my dad. And my dad says, hi. She kicks her hair back. She's a cute little black girl. Got her hair all braided. So she swings her hair around. She looks up at my dad and she goes, hi. And my dad says, dang, that wave almost got you, huh? And she looks at my dad, and I couldn't believe what she said. She looks at him, and without missing a beat, goes, yeah, hey, if I was drowning, would you save me? And he looks at me because he doesn't know what to do. And he goes, of course I would save you. Would you save me? And she goes, I don't know, but I'd try. And I laughed at her and I said, hey, your mom's right over there, just so you know. And she goes, thanks. And she runs off. And my dad turns to me after she leaves and he goes, why does she not know that I would save her? Of course I would save her. Why doesn't she is it because I'm a white guy? Does she not think that I would save her? Is it because I'm a stranger that she doesn't think I would save her? Why do you think, and why? And in that moment, God put in my heart so strongly that we are so often like that little girl where we're drowning in the middle of our problems and we're drowning in the middle of our issues. And when we come up and we see God, we say, would you save me? Do you love me enough to save me? And God's sitting there going, of course I would save you. Of course I would pull you out of the ocean. Of course I wouldn't let you drown. Why is it that you would even question? Well, God, I don't know if you really truly exist, or I don't even know what this Bible verse means, or my friends say, or this says, so would you really save me? And we question God at every single turn. And he says, I wish you would let me save you. I wish you would know how much I love you, because here's the thing. If she knew my dad like I knew my dad, there would be not a doubt in her mind that he would save her. Because she doesn't know the dad that I know. She doesn't know the dad that saved me when I was 4 years old and was drowning in the pool. She doesn't know the dad that saved me when I fell off the monkey bars and hyperextended my elbow. I'm going on the monkey bars, I'm trying to swing, I fall off, my mom is there, we're at a birthday party, and my arm bends back at a wrong angle, and I feel the pain, I don't know what's wrong, and in that moment, all I remember is calling my mom and saying, Mom, call Dad! Mom, call Dad! Mom, just call Dad! Because I didn't know what he would do. I didn't know what he would say. I didn't know how he would fix it, but I knew if my dad was involved, that would be okay. And I've experienced that. And I remember my dad coming and picking me up and telling me it was gonna be okay. And guess what? He didn't magically heal my arm. He didn't take me to the hospital and fix everything, but he hugged me and he told me it was gonna be okay. He gave me peace beyond my understanding. He settled my spirit in a moment where I wasn't settled. My God was the Father to me before my God was a father to you. And here's what I want you to know, is there's some of you in the room where you don't even know God like I know God. You haven't experienced God like I've experienced God, and I want you to so bad. I want you to experience the love that I felt. I want you to experience the healing that I felt. I want you to experience the peace that I felt. And then there's some of you, you have experienced God in the way that I've experienced God, but you haven't shared that with anybody else. And there's people drowning in the ocean asking, God, will you save me? God, will you save me? And God's looking at you going, why don't they know that I can save them? And all he wants you to do is look at them and say, if you knew my dad like I know my dad, if you know my God like I know my God, you would know that you're safe. You would know that you're in good hands. You don't need to know when the next high tide is coming. You don't need to know how deep the ocean is. You don't need to know where the sharks are in the water, because God's got that in control. Listen, I'm not saying that it's not good to learn and to grow, because you do. But what I'm saying is when it's so hard to start and you have no idea what you're doing, focus on the one thing that you do know. Focus on the one thing you do know. And if you don't know that, I want to tell you there's one thing you can lean on. And that's the fact, like in Philippians, that Paul says, God has already reached his hand out towards you, and he's just waiting for you to reach back towards him. Scripture says, if you seek me, you will find me, if you seek me with your whole heart. So I don't know where you're at tonight. I don't know what level of believer that you might be. But tonight, can we agree that we'll take all the stuff we don't know and put it aside for just a few minutes and focus on the one thing that we do? Can y'all stand to your feet real quick? Right before service, I was praying because I really feel like God was working on me just as much as I feel like he can work on us. And when they were playing the song, the prayer that I felt like I needed to pray, I wrote it right here in my Bible with a piece of tape and a marker from the back. I said, Lord, I am nothing, and you are my goal. Some of you are trying to figure out how to be the doctor that you've always wanted to be. Some of you are trying to figure out how to be the coolest senior. Some of you are trying to figure out how to make that picture of prom that you've always had growing up, and now you don't know if it's going to happen. You're trying to make that picture come to pass. You're trying to figure out how that's going to work. Some of you are trying to figure out if your relationship is going to survive because you can't see them every day. Some of you are trying to figure out how to be the son or the daughter that you feel like your parents want you to be. Some of you are trying to figure all that out. And here's my prayer for you tonight. Lord, you are my goal. And if you were my goal, everything else will take care of itself. Lord, you are my goal. So tonight, if that's you, if you're at a place where you're like, Lord, I don't know you like Arin knows you. I don't know you the way that Pastor Arin has said that he knows you. If that's you, I want to challenge you. When they begin to sing, I want you to just lift your hands and I want you to say, Lord, I want to know you. Lord, you are my goal. And if you know God, if you've experienced him before like I have experienced him before, I want you to come up to the front altar and I want you to press in and I want you to begin to say, God, I may not know all the answers, but Lord, I seek the one answer, and that is you. I may not know everything, but I seek the one thing I know, and that is you. Lord, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm going to stop faking it. I'm going to stop forcing my way out of it. Lord, I'm going to settle into your presence and focus on you. So I'm going to read this verse for you one more time, and then the band's going to go ahead and sing. And as they sing, come up to the front or raise your hands or do whatever you need to do. By no means do I count myself an expert, but I have my eye on the goal where God is beckoning us onward towards Jesus. And I'm off and running, and I'm not turning back. God is beckoning us towards the goal, and his name is Jesus. And tonight, Lord, we are off and running, and we're not turning back. Lord, you are beckoning us onwards towards Jesus. And tonight we decide that we're off and running and we're not turning back. Let this be a moment that sets us up towards you. Lord, if there are people in this room who do not know you and not experienced you, I pray that they would feel your presence tonight. They would feel how much you love them and how much you want to be with them. And Lord, if there's someone who's been stuck in fear, I pray that they would walk out in faith tonight because of who you have called them to be. In your mighty name we pray. Amen.